Hey guys, it's Tommy CM. Welcome back to my channel. Today's episode is going to be involving putting in a new flat ride into the park and adjusting a bit of the scenery around different sections of the park and mainly around that particular flat ride. One of the comments I got was to start using kind of custom-made fencing as opposed to just relying on the railings that come onto the paths, and that is definitely something that I wanted to try out myself. I do look at some of the other parks and think that is an area I can improve on. So as you'll start to see from this episode and episodes going on from here, that is going to be something I'm going to be picking up on. So as you can see here, obviously with the sky ride we had a bit of a dip just after the entrance, so I wanted to kind of make it realistic and put a bit of fencing around it. I went for just a standard kind of vintage carnival style fencing, but just something that is decorative, but obviously from a safety point of view, the guests aren't going to go down there. I mean, obviously they wouldn't anyway because there isn't a path, but just for that realism effect, and that's part of the design of this park. Is although I'm going for a vintage style park, I want it to be a realistic park as much as it can be. So that's the intention behind this design here, and that's the fencing for that area done. So just had to tweak some of this because it was kind of leaning away from other pieces of fencing. Once that's done, that was that. So now it's time to install a flat ride. Again, very typical kind of travelling sort of ride, although this is one of the fixed versions. Again, I'm going with this sort of square rectangular queue line, just because I don't want to go anything too crazy. At a classic style park, you wouldn't get queue lines that have too much detail on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these shops here and incorporate the queue line and the shops all within the same building. So the queue line is going to be all undercover, going with a brick style building here. And it's going to be all incorporated within the same section, I'm pleased with how this turns out, and it all does blend in as one together, and it will butt up right next to the ride, that's the style I've gone for. Just as a heads up, coming up later in the next episode, I am going to be moving on to building a ghost train. Now, ghost trains are obviously a very popular Funfair attraction, and there is a track ride within Planet Coaster to build a ghost train. So I'm really looking forward to having a go at that and having a go at using the spooky DLC, which I've not really utilised that much myself. I've not done a haunted house or a spooky based ride so far on my time playing on the game. So I'll be utilising the spooky DLC content that was released a couple of months back now, I think, for definitely for console anyway. It'll be even longer for that for players on PC. So here you can just see me just kind of doing the outline of this building. No particular theme other than just kind of a basic British style building. But that's the theme we've gone for throughout the park, and there's no kind of right or wrong way really to, in my opinion anyway, to kind of theme a Funfair style park. That a lot of the buildings you see in these sorts of parks in real life are quite generic, but that's what makes them that park. I was kind of playing about with the roof here, realised that section of the building wasn't quite wide enough to fit on two different panels. So what I wanted to do first was I just wanted to put a flat roof along this section, just to have a roof over the shops, and then also over the paths as well. So I was just going along doing this, but I realised as well that by having the walls where they were, the queue line was going to be affected. So I just had to put these walls in here, widen this off, and then make the queue line just that little bit shorter so that it fit within that gap basically, and it just about made it, as you can see. I am pleased with how this roof turns out. It is this isn't the I can't even speak today. This isn't the finished product. There is a pitched roof going on top of this just to make it more aesthetically pleasing. Although you wouldn't see this roof from guest level, you would see it on the rides, and I didn't really want it standing out like a sore thumb. And obviously, when we're scanning over the park as well, it does stand out as well. So I didn't really fancy that. I did look at it like that, and I wasn't happy with how it sat on the top. So yeah, I'm putting on these signs again. This is a similar style to what we did on another shop section on the other end of the park. So yeah, as you can see here, I just went for putting on a pitched roof, just to have a bit of a break in the design, and just to have the building have a bit more character to it, really. And then I just wanted these sort of corner pieces sat on here, and I just think this makes the building look a lot nicer than it did with a flat roof, really. And yeah, that's the design I've gone for. As I say, moving on from this will be a case of looking at the fencing. As I mentioned at the start, it is something I want to sort of incorporate. So going on from here, I will be sort of editing the current fencing at some stage later on. But any new paths that go in from here, I will look at putting some vintage style fencing, or fencing it to at least match the area of the park. I wanted this building to look a bit more realistic, so I just decided to stick some windows around it. Not for any particular reason, but I just think it looks a lot nicer like that. And as we already mentioned quite a few times now in this series, these kind of Funfair lights obviously always do a trick here and always had a nice effect. So that's what they look like in the day, and that's what the building looks like at night. I will add more lighting to the general areas. I know only the building lines they were lit up, but I will go through towards the end off camera and put in different bits of lighting so the whole area is lit up really nicely at night. Here you can see I'm just putting a bit of a picket fence in, and it really does make a difference just changing that railing from a standard sort of iron handrail to a picket fence. Just, it seems like a really small detail, but it really does make the difference. And especially in this kind of vintage style part, I think this sort of wooden picket fence really suits it. So yeah, very simple, but that's what I've gone for. Just having trouble kind of fitting this in, but eventually we do get there in the end. Also, we've built the sort of pool of water to the side of us here, and I will be putting a small fence around that just for again safety and realism looks. I wanted to use these archway lights just here, again similar to what I did on the cable cars. I just think they add a nice effect. So I was just trying to get them all lined up nice and neatly, so that they all fitted in and didn't mess up my OCD. To get this fence working right, I had to get rid of the pool of water, so that I could then put the fence in, put a grid around it, and then go on to put the water in, and that I felt was the best way of doing it. So yeah, that's just what I'm up to at this point. I've just got obviously the rectangular bit of fence in there, so now I can lock the scenery off. However, I think I just have to tweak small bits of this because the land has adjusted there on the side, obviously. So I had to remove that and made sure that everything was inside this area, and the scenery lock was on so that it didn't affect anything underneath the fencing. So yeah, there's the pool of water, which I think looks really nice now. May end up putting some decorations on there, whether it's fountains or just something. I'll put it in there mainly as a piece of scenery, really. It's not something I've done before yet. He's putting a pool of water in for scenery, but I thought it fitted quite well just in that section, rather than cramming the area full of rides. I thought it spaced out the rides in a nice way as well. So yeah, and then just putting a few different size trees in. Wanted them all in a similar colour to each other, but enough so that the ride looked decorated but not swamped in scenery. And I think it does there. The ride is on its own. So yeah, and this is the final touch. Just putting in the sign, and I've called it Tornado. So yeah, that is it for this episode. If you enjoyed that, please leave a like and subscribe if you're new, and I shall see you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.